So, Bill, if you want to drop some, you can. I mean, that's up to you, my brother. That's up to you.
Bill, good, man.
Bill, I appreciate you joining us tonight, my friend, and always, it was good talking with you this morning. Bill, I just want to spend some time with you here next 10, 15 minutes, and I want to go around college football, mainly staying around the SEC. Bill, everybody's talking about Georgia, and everybody's talking about the chalky teams, and can Georgia be that team that takes the next leap? Can they take that leap and win the SEC? Can they finally get over that hump? Bill, tell me the truth. Do you think Georgia has the talent and the team that can win the SEC this year with Kirby?
Let me give you my credentials. 1980, early September, I'm in Neyland Stadium, and I watch Herschel Walker walk onto the field for the first time ever. The greatest college football player ever. Not even close. He changed the game as a true freshman game one, as a 225-pound running back, 1980. So I can take you to Georgia before then, as a kid growing up in the 70s. Georgia's always had talent. Georgia's always, that state is loaded. There used to be a big three statewide in football recruiting. It was California, Texas, Florida. For the last 10 years, it's been a big four. Everybody that don't see that then don't know what they're looking at. Georgia is loaded. Proximity-wise, they are as geographically advantaged, which is big, as any team on this college football planet. Can they win another natty since 1980? They've had a couple of close calls. Not long ago against Alabama, had the lead, lost in overtime, and of course the 2000 and what team would that have been? The 12 team,
right?
Or the 11 team. 11 team. Got down to the final seconds, had the ball in Alabama 6 and blew it. So they've had several teams that could do it. Yes, they have the talent capable, but one team has Nick Saban, and that's the problem. It's the neighborhood. They're not even in the same division, but it's the neighborhood they're located in, and I'm not sure I see that happening.
You know, Bill, it's interesting about Georgia is that it seems like every year we get to this time and everybody's like, Georgia, Georgia, Georgia. They have the talent. Kirby's going to open it up. They're going to throw the ball over the field. They do have a quarterback, but I think they're going to have to go through somebody in the West, whether it be Alabama, LSU, whatever. And they got a big test week one in Clemson. Do you think, Bill, that I don't want to say the first game of the season because there's so much more football, but do you think that first game of the season versus Clemson will show us everything that we need to know for them moving forward?
Not necessarily. Now, this is a rare exception, but let me take you folks back. And that's why I'm the king of college football, because I've got historical perspective.
That's
1983, Miami opened the season losing by touchdowns. I believe it was 28-3, but regardless, got killed in their opener. And to Florida, and they ended up winning the national championship. Played one of the better Nebraska teams I've ever seen. Maybe the biggest championship game upset ever was that 83, January 84 season. So, look, as long as you don't lose 45-0 or something, you get. Let's say they lose 21-17. Clemson ends up in the playoffs, and you run the table and win the SEC in Alabama. They're in. The SEC gets more benefit of the doubt than any other league, but they can't have another loss. That's the point. You have to be perfect after that to get in.
Yeah, and I think that, it's going to be interesting. I don't know if people are going to start turning on Kirby, Bill, if he loses and he doesn't win an SEC. I don't know that, but I think a lot of people will start questioning him, and it's going to be interesting to see. Bill, let's stay in the East. A lot of people, and look, this isn't a Jeff in the Burrow did not pay me to ask you this question, okay? I promise. But Kentucky is getting a lot of love, and I think it's because they have a good running game. Bill, I think that they have the best offensive line, not just in the SEC. I think you could make the argument for the country. Do you think that this is the year that Kentucky could be in that 2 or 3 mark where they can be pushing for an SEC title, or do you want to see it first before you believe it?
Closest they will ever get is a couple of years ago when it came down to the Georgia game. And they can't match Georgia player for player. No. Now, I agree with you. They are producing the heck out of offensive linemen. They're very well coached up there. Their running game, their twosome at running back is a bunch of nasty dudes there. Quarterback position is a huge question. And we don't know if they can throw the ball. Defense is very fundamentally sound, but compared to the upper echelon, limited in personnel. Kentucky will never win the division. And I don't say that for effect here. It's true. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I can't see it happening either. And if it, Bill, if it happens, I'll pay Jeff in the Borough $100.
Well, but like, here's the deal. Let me give you the scenario. Georgia and Florida, and if Tennessee's right, and obviously they're not, they would have to be way off their historical average, not peaks, average for that to happen. That's not going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen either. I do think that, just up front, they can be physical. I think that's a tough game for like an LSU going to Lexington. I think that, a lot of people talk about that being the trap game. Look, Bill, you start getting physical, you might beat some teams you're not supposed to. But I think that it's a little much. I think Florida's still got a lot of talent, and recruiting shows us that. Bill King from the Bill King Show is joining us here live. We'll let him know. WNSR. Guys, you know where to find him. You know where to go, but we'll let him tell you anyway. Bill, I want to go over to the West, and we got a lot of questions firing in about the Death Star, about Alabama and LSU. Let's just start off with Alabama. In the SEC, no one's had more production left in 1 year other than LSU in 19, and now Alabama off the 20 season. But, Bill, they're going to get the benefit of the doubt, right? They still recruit well. They still have Nick Saban. Do you think that this is an Alabama team that you seek that can repeat, or do you believe that this is a team that could be vulnerable and could find themselves out of the SEC West and the SEC Championship, even maybe the playoff?
The word can, absolutely can repeat. Now, here's why Alabama gets so much love. Nobody has put more equity in the bank than this current Alabama regime, Nick Saban. Equity in the bank means earned the right for everybody to assume, right or wrong, that they're going to win it again. They've won 6 of the last 12. Folks, you will never see anything like this again. There's never been anything like it, and they may win a few more, but you will not see this happen again into the future. You're witnessing it real time. You can tell your grandkids, I saw this. Look at it now. It ain't like that anymore. Absolutely. Now, here's the one caveat, which is very possible. I'm not going to tell everybody I'd bet them Blake a bunch of money they're going to win it again. But I wouldn't pick anybody else because my average bet would be pretty well taken care of, right? If Bryce Young comes in, Bryce Young is a poor man's Kyler Murray. I'm not saying he's that because that one's established. You're talking about a superior 5'10" quarterback who can score from 90 yards out, throwing it or running it. Kyler Murray.
Right.
Bryce Young is that, but not quite that. Okay. And he's about 5'10". Whatever they list him, he ain't 6 foot. If for some reason he is not what we think he is, which this year, his first year to start, I think he'll be pretty good. Maybe not great, but pretty good. If he's not all that yet, that's the formula for everybody else. If he's right, then the SEC is going to have Alabama as the champion again.
Mm-hmm. Bill, we've seen the outliers where Alabama has had situations where they've lost a lot of guys, they slip up, but they're always in that contention. LSU did it in 19. We saw what other A&M beat them. I mean, not A&M. Well, A&M beat them with Manziel, but what it's always taken, it seems like, is great quarterback play on the opposite side.
Right.
So you have quarterbacks like Cam Newton, Johnny Manziel, Joe Burrow, and others that when you beat them, you have to have a great quarterback play. So I asked that question to say a lot of people are high on Texas A&M, but we don't even know who the starting quarterback is. Bill, is it safe to buy in the hype? I don't necessarily buy in the hype in A&M, but do you see them as a team that is a threat in the West and in college football this season?
Yes, but I don't think they win it all. And when I say win it all, I don't mean the playoffs. I don't think they win the SEC. Now, they have recruited incredibly well. They're stout, both lines of scrimmage. They've got a stud running back and decent depth, maybe not all that much experience, incredible tight end play. They have stacked it up well. You're right. They've got to find a new quarterback. The quarterback room is very highly rated, but we haven't seen him yet. We haven't seen him when it really matters. Pajama football, which for everybody that doesn't know me, that's either 7-on-7. Spring football don't matter either. Don't bring me any kind of spring news. That ain't the real thing. Scoreboard in September is the real thing.
Right.
If they are right at quarterback, they're a threat. I still think they're more top 10 than top 4, though. I don't think they're there yet.
Bill, what do you I mean, is it quarterback play that gets them there in your opinion? Let me ask you this, because I kind of agree with Brett Ciancia. If they do have a good quarterback, then I think that they're, obviously a legitimate team. Do you think that they're a quarterback away or a couple of recruits away from them being there?
Getting there. Yeah. I think they're borderline getting there.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of talent. Jimbo is refocused. Everybody wants to come at me about Jimbo after the national championship, and let's say starting that year with the Alabama A&M game was supposed to be the opening game of the century, which turned out to be a dud. Quarterback got injured. Jimbo had a lot of issues then, guys. Not to be excuse making. He was in a bad, never-ending fight with the powers at Florida State that would never get solved. Promises made that he knew weren't coming. And he had some, look, this is well publicized, so I'm not trying to be mean. He had a marriage situation that was in a catastrophe mode. His wife cheated on him with a former Florida wide receiver. It's very well known. He has a child that has a horrible, very upsetting medical condition. Jimbo and Florida State needed a break. I'm not judging him the way he gets judged by the haters down the stretch there, because he had a lot of things coming at him that none of us could do well with. He's refocused. He's got energy. He's got a $75 million contract. That matters. The money matters. I think dude's poised to be a problem. I really do.
All right. Well, look, I got to ask you about some LSU because the fans are rioting. They're literally calling me out in the comments and on Twitter, Bill. So I got to get to it. The other team in the West that everybody is kind of sleeping on, in my opinion, obviously is LSU. Now, you have the battle there. You do have Bama. Yeah. You do have A&M. You do have LSU. Bill, they got a lot of talent, but the question is, can they rebound from a 5-5 season? They got a good quarterback. They have the depth on O-line, D-line, linebacker, and DBs. But the question is, Bill, can they put it all together? When you see this team on the surface, do you think it's a team that's going to rebound and could challenge an A&M at the last part of the season, and even challenge Alabama in early November?
Okay, you just defined. I was about to ask you what put it all together means, but you just absolutely defined it. It's possible, but I got to tell you, and LSU fans don't want to hear this, and I know you don't want me to tell them what they want to hear.
Go ahead.
You want me to be honest.
I want you to be honest.
I think most of America, outside of the LSU family, which is a very prideful, strong family, doubts Coach O.
Correct.
I am more glass half empty. Now, I'm not talking about disaster, but I'm more of a doubter than a believer about Coach O the rest of the way. I can't deny 2019. I can't argue 2019. That may be the best year I've ever seen with a team from game one to the championship and each week getting better. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. I can't say they're the best team I've ever seen, but every week getting better and building on it. I don't know if I've seen that before. I can't deny that. But I don't know if that was lightning in a bottle and you went to the local mini mart to get some gas and you bought a lottery ticket, Blake, and you pull it out and it said you just won $10 million and you have no idea how? I don't really know. I think they're going to be good, but I doubt that they're a championship competitor.
Hey,
Hey, don't give my phone number out either,
I'm going to give him Jeff in the Burrows email. God, please. He sends me 2 every day. Bill, there are some questions that are firing in here just around college football. We have one from Kenny and Kirk that ask about Nebraska, believe it or not. Do you think Scott Frost is able to get to a bowl game? And if he doesn't, do you think he's out in Nebraska after 4 years?
I mean, if we play 12 games, if you have a pulse, you get to a bowl game, right?
Right.
That's nothing. Nebraska hasn't been a thing since they fired Frank Solich. And that was right after Dr. Tom. I interviewed Frank. It looked like it was going well. First couple of years, it was going really well. Looked like the same chemistry, the same culture, the physicality. And they run him off for only winning 9 games. Then they hired my boy Bo shortly thereafter, after Bill Callahan, and they ran Bo off, Bo Pelini. And I know this last year wasn't a good look at LSU, but Bo's still one of my boys. No, Nebraska will. Nebraska joined the Big Ten for 2 reasons. Number one, they hate Texas, and they hate Texas more than you and I have enough time to describe.
Right.
But number 2, the money. I mean, the Big Ten right now divvies out more money than the SEC. It's $54 million a year. Now, Northwestern gets more money for conference affiliation right now than Alabama. Not saying they make more money, but for conference affiliation, they get more money.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not going to win any more in football. Their culture is dead. Bill Callahan killed it, but I've got no hope for the future. And even Scott Frost, who quarterbacks the culture, doesn't even see it. He's running the tick-tock offense, nickel and dime, shuck and duck, lack of physicality offense. They don't play defense. I have no hope.
I have no hope either. I think he's done, Bill. Honestly, I think he's more done than a $5 steak and Waffle House. Honestly, I mean, I'm just being honest. Bill, last one, because we do have some questions in here about what you believe in. I appreciate your time and your with us.
No worries.
Oklahoma and Texas. I mean, Bill, is this the biggest thing since you've been covering college football? And I know that there's been a lot of storylines. I know that there's been conference reaffiliation and realignment and everything. But is Oklahoma and Texas joining the SEC the biggest thing that happened to college football in the I don't want to say ever, but at least in the last 30, 40 years, in your opinion?
Let me categorize it. I don't think I'm ready to say biggest thing modern history ever. By far the biggest expansion news ever.
Mm-hmm.
Dropped right in our lap within the last couple of weeks. There is not another expansion story that rivals. This is Secretariat 1973 at the Belmont, winning the Triple Crown, and you look behind the horse and there's no other horse. You're winning that far, right? There's nobody else to take a look at. It's certainly that. And let me just tell everybody, this is not about equality, meaning fairness or expansion of the playoffs or whatever. This is about the biggest money grab ever. The thinking is the SEC, when it becomes official, Texas and Oklahoma playing in the league, will go from about $45 million per team to about $90 million, maybe more per team. That will be the SEC when this happens, Blake, and you've heard us talking about it on the show. The SEC as a league will then equal the NCAA's overall as a body, a governing body, intake in money.
That's
what this
crazy.
is about. This is not about anything else but the money.
Bill, I just think it's going to be, like you said, with the money and everything coming on, I think it could be one of the biggest things that's ever happened. Like you, I don't know if I'm going to characterize it as the biggest thing ever, but we'll have to wait and see. And it could be.
I mean, think about it. Roy Kramer creating the BCS in for 1998 is a monstrosity. Nothing did more for college football than the creation of the BCS because it was the perfect imperfection. Had everybody fighting, which is good. It's drama. It's ratings. It's interesting. The teams that got screwed. It's perfect. Whether your audience agrees with the BCS or not, and I'm one of the only few that actually liked it, but it did more for the popularity. So to say that Oklahoma, Texas would be the most, nuclear bomb type moment, I'm not sure about that. It really isn't complete. I would say number one would be the creation of the BCS.
I know that the BCS machine still lives in your basement, Bill, or the ad says on
just for you, I went in there. It's got a pull cord on it, right? Like a mower. And I went in there and tried to crank it. It wouldn't start up. Very sad. Very sad, man. I don't know what to do. If you had a video, like, I'm not a TikTok guy, but if you had a TikTok, it would be me over the BCS machine weeping. That's what it would be.
I think it's stuck on 2007, Bill, because we put some voodoo in Louisiana on that thing to get a 2-loss LSU.
That's right. Yep.
In there. All right, Bill, you've been fantastic.